we do
I
this.
just turn it off.
Yeah. And it's so fun to get to be with you.
Hey, I'm glad to
Um,
be here. So the meeting is now live streaming on Facebook.
yeah.
Yeah, we just went live, and folks, welcome to the Ripple Effect with David and Erica. And we have a special guest today here who I'm going to let Erica introduce. But how are you, Erica? Good. Thanks for bringing the guest. And if you don't mind, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, cool. Hi, David. Nice to be with you yet again on the ripple effect. The ripple effect. That's do you see my ripple effect? Yeah, so it's
I
great to
wish I could
see
cue the music there, but
the
we
music.
got to.
I'm really excited to get to chat with Brian today, but David, my co-host, how are you doing? How is the world of you?
I'm good. I get kind of woken up by doing quantum leaps. I'm ready to go. I'm excited for our new guest who's a little um different and interesting. I'm interested to hear what he does. And yeah, so
Okay.
I'm good. Carrie's actually home sick today, but she's getting better, so I'm happy about that. And
Hey,
I
Carrie.
can't complain. Yeah,
Hey,
she's
Carrie.
in the other room. I got to make her some French fries when we're done here. But yeah,
Why? Why? Why French fries? No French fries. So,
homemade French fries aren't
more
that
fruits
bad
and
for
vegetables.
kids.
So a long, long, long time ago, a long time ago, I got to share a beautiful experience. This person we're having on today is someone I went through my sophomore year of college, living right next door to, side by side in this holistic approaches to wellness program that has ruined my life for the better in so many different ways. And so Brian Germain is with us today. And you know, it's so funny the way that we reconnected. I was going through old papers at my parents' house and I found some cartoons that Brian actually drew. And they're like just the funniest, oddest, coolest cartoons. And I was like, ah, I took a picture of it and I found him on Instagram. And I was like, just finding this. So Brian has a great uh, attitude on life, and now you're kind of in the field of what I'm doing as a therapist. So anyway, welcome. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yay. And we would watch this movie Harold and Maude like every month in college. Like it was a religious experience.
I still recommend it on a regular basis, just, to sort of refresh your love of being alive.
Yeah. And another fun thing about my college days that was related to you, Brian, is that you were my jump teacher, my jump master teacher
Yep. Yep.
for
I,
skydiving.
I
I
threw Erika out of an airplane, yes.
Yeah, I went skydiving 5 times and Brian was my teacher. And then there was this other person that, yeah, so anyway, it was so exciting. My parents were concerned, but I did it. I survived 5 times when I was like 19 and 20, I believe, 21 maybe. And it was also an amazing experience. And now your work, tell us about your work now and tell us the whole story of you and your professional life and how you serve.
It's a long story, but yeah, I work as a professional life coach, and I address it from a very holistic perspective. But my primary focus is sort of getting, in the door is helping people deal with fear. Because obviously, for 37 years now, I've been jumping out of airplanes thousands and thousands of times and helping people, kind of deal with their perspective on the emotional response to scary situations as a metaphor, right? I mean, jumping out of airplanes is not really, for most people, it's not really necessary, but it teaches so much. It teaches you how to breathe when you're freaking out, how to sort through your thoughts and how to let go of the thoughts that aren't constructive, the visualizations that are paving the way to a future experience. We can misuse our imagination and cause catastrophes of all kinds. So yeah, I mean, I went to, undergrad and grad school for psych, and I just little by little got drawn into doing that instead of jumping out of airplanes as much. And it's very gratifying to help all kinds of people kind of shift their focus and take a closer look at what are you doing in your life and what's missing. You know, what are the missing components to help create a balance between all the different things that you are?
Yeah, that's great. I will share my own little testimonial that I used to fly those Cessnas when I lived up in Lake Tahoe, and it does teach you such good discipline, you know, to be able to have the mindset that I can do this, something that you kind of have your life in your hands, and
Yep.
um, you know, it was a real kind of highlight of my life doing that in a lot of ways. So yeah.
You earn trust in yourself, right? In that trust at first isn't actually earned by data points, by experiences where you saved yourself, not yet. But you still have to sort of show up and go, well, I know that I've done other things. You know, I've saved myself on the road where there was a deer. I've saved myself in all these different ways where I didn't have much time. And yet my bare attention of the present moment was enough. And I think that confidence, it extrapolates to everything in life. It allows us to sort of apply confidence that was built over here to something new and different. So yeah, with my newer skydiving students, I'm constantly reminding them, you've got this, you know what you're doing, you know you want to survive, so you're going to do everything you have to do. Now just relax and enjoy your competence. And that's,
I know that's on a lot of folks' bucket list, but just if
yeah.
folks are just tuning in, can you tell us where you're coming from and who you might be looking to connect with in terms of uh, if, for example, somebody is watching this in the DC area and they want to go skydiving, do you do that or do you help
Well,
them with other things as well?
yeah, I mean, mostly now, you know, in the DC area, I'm doing life coaching stuff. However, I teach all over the world, all over the world. I mean, I've jumped in more countries than I can count in almost every state in the union. And so I run advanced courses primarily now. I'm always happy to help somebody get their start and, you know, begin the training process. But, you know, I do meet
The,
up to the wind
the
tunnel.
training process in skydiving or the training process in working through
Well,
fear?
yeah, well, I mean, specifically here, if they want to learn how to jump out of planes, I can kind of, you know, shed a little bit of light on that process. But the process of applying what we learn in that metaphoric environment is what it's about, right? I mean, throwing people out of airplanes doesn't have a tremendous value to society from a certain perspective, but the confidence built does. It's huge, and I'm a proponent of all adventure. It's not just jumping out of airplanes that I want to see people do. I want to see them put on their hiking boots and get out in the forest and turn their phone off, for God's sakes, and just enjoy being out there in nature and listening to birds and identifying plants and finding mushrooms to bring back to cook for dinner. You know, that's brave.
Safely, safely,
Have
safely.
you ever done that thing with those wing suits? You know, to me, that's like the
I
next,
was,
that
yeah,
is a, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's wonderful. I'm one of the founding fathers of that movement and tested the very first wingsuits and helped with design stuff. I
Wow.
just do it from time to time. Yeah, this is after I knew you, Erica, but yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. But I've also realized that people will push these boundaries, right? You can ride a motorcycle, I say like a grandpa, if you want, and you can ride that bike for 45 years and never have a problem. Or you can ride it like a lunatic, you know, where you have something to prove. That's where the ego takes over. And we see that in the wingsuiting community where they just push it too far, you know, jumping off of cliffs when you're low and flying as low as you can down to the terrain. It's very exhilarating in the moment, but it doesn't fit in with the long-term plan that I have of being an old skydiver. You know, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be,
people are removing themselves from the gene pool when they're not humble and when they're not
yeah.
taking precaution. Like it's somebody in my health company, we just lost a paraglider, a beloved paraglider. He went paragliding and he no here. It's very sad, very like he
I
was living large. He was living life and living large and he pushed it and he ain't here. It's very sad. We're very sad about that.
This used to be in my leg from paragliding.
What do you mean?
I crashed. Yeah, and we learn how to be competent pilots by being incompetent pilots sometimes. And in my case, it was a judgment call. I flew when I shouldn't have flown, and I guarantee that that's what happened there too. where we
Whoa.
get this urgency where we must fly, especially if you sit in a chair all week. You know what I mean? You're working in a computer. Oh, I need to go fly. And then you go into some sort of an adventure environment with a willfulness instead of a willingness. I think that's a Barb Jordan quote. And you kind of move into, this space of seeing what you want to see instead of what's there. And that definitely will get you in a lot of trouble. It did,
Wow.
but that was a long time ago, way back in 1993. And it led me to redesign the modern parachute. It led me to patent an airlock design so that the wings basically can't instantaneously depressurize. And I've built, now
Wow.
1,400 airlock canopies all over the world. So I tried to turn lemons into lemonade in a lot of ways.
So, okay, my gosh, we really need to know how hot stuff you are. What is this advanced training that you're teaching all over the world? What is
Yeah,
that?
well, we call it a canopy course. So we refer to a parachute as a canopy. And so I get a group of people that are already licensed, and I sit down and really give them in-depth training. I put on the VR goggles on them and teach them in a hanging harness environment where it's almost like a yoga teacher would say, all right, that's good, but now flex this muscle, but relax this one. When you want to turn the wing, this is the fluid motion of the body. When you're landing, you're leaning forward. All of
So
these things
these are licensed
licensed skydivers, and I'm
skydivers.
up to the next level.
Okay.
And then I send them up, in the airplane, and I film their landings. And when they're looking better, I put a radio on them and I jump with them and I can talk. So they can talk to me as well. And so we have a little conversation as we're flying around. I say, all right, well, let's tighten up the formation. That's good. Hold that heading. We're going to do a 90-degree turn to the left. And they read back 90 left and go. And we turn the parachutes together and change the formation, maybe just switch to the other side or something. It is so much fun.
Oh my gosh. So
Absolute free.
this is hundreds of thousands of people all over the world that are advanced level skydivers that want to take it to the next level, their practice, and they go on and teach others
Yep.
and show others and inspire others. Wow.
That's my goal, is to try to prevent the planet from further impact events, to try to, because they all got mamas, I mean, I teach civilians, I teach military, I teach people from all different countries, and I say they all have mamas. I want to protect them. And I try to get into the science of this stuff. And the science I found was definitely a leg up for my students getting into the science of flight in greater detail. But I realized that I was butting my head up against this progress limit, which was their fear. And that becomes a problem in many different ways because, of course, when somebody gets escalated, the RPM is too fast and they're really in nervous mode. And you can see them in the airplane, their eyes are shifty and they're all worried, and and they don't laugh at my jokes. That's how I know.
Yeah. There's this important rule if you go up in a plane that's not pressurized, is you're not allowed to have
Gas?
gas. You're not allowed
That's
to pass
it's
gas.
it's impossible. The gases inside you expand. It's an unpressurized compound.
And that's it's like there's this like quality of don't do it, don't do it.
I know it, and then everybody chuckles, right? And I find that levity that comes from a little giggle can dissolve the fear to the point where the person can perform, right? Having a sense of humor or some method that cheers you up,
Yeah, now I'm coming out of assisting at a 2-day trauma training, and yeah, this whole thing of bringing a little joke, a little humor, a little camaraderie,
Yep,
there is that calming down so you can watch your mind and make good choices.
absolutely. Yep.
It,
Yeah.
it's so because people get into this fight, flight, freeze,
Contraction, isn't it?
and it's like now, happily, you're helping your people stay safe and excel. Remind us, have you written any books about any of this?
I've got 4 books that are in print, and several more scribbled in notebooks all around my cabin.
Okay, so we can look you up and
Hopefully this winter I'll get at least one of them completed. But yeah, one of my biggest books is called Transcending Fear.
okay.
So when I was in grad school and for several years afterwards, I did a lot of research on what fear is from a cognitive perspective, what is it from a physiological perspective, evolutionary perspective, and what we can do about it. That was the goal, not to just study it so that I can, be better at making people afraid. It's quite the opposite. I really believe the human spirit, and more specifically the human heart, expands when we get out of fear. And so that's leading in this, this direction that I didn't expect, helping with relationships, helping them with their connections with other people, to be braver and be yourself, play guitar and sing in front of other people, be brave that in a way that really shows yourself to the world.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I hope that you're having fun with all.
I
And where are you teaching next? Where are you going next with this?
Warsaw. I'm giving a talk on a holistic approach to skydiving in Warsaw, Poland in March. And well, I mean, there probably will be some other events that fit in between now and then, but a lot of what I'm doing right now is either on Zoom or at my sewing machine. Yes, I still build lots of parachutes, unfortunately, but fortunately for the people flying them. But after all these years of sewing, my hands get tired,
Wow, I just acquired a sewing machine, so I'm excited to I'm a learner. But you've actually made parachutes that are going to your people.
Many, many, many. Yes, yes. Yeah,
Are you-
I've tried to cut it back to like less than 20 parachutes a year because I have all these other things that I want to be doing, but I'm good at it. And for me, it's a meditation. You know,
Wow.
I'm so focused on what I'm doing. I can't make a mistake. It really is very precise. And I warn people that I'm living with or staying with, guys, when I'm building a parachute, please just consider me like a surgeon performing heart surgery. Please,
Wow.
please don't just come in and talk to me.
Wow. So these parachutes, you work with like parachute companies?
No, I am the parachute company.
You are the parachute company. Wow, Brian.
I
And
do the CAD design and all the, yeah. I've been doing that for many, many years. Pushing about 30 years. I've been
wow.
designing and building
And
parachutes.
then when they're out in the world, are those parachutes doing well? How
They
are they
are.
doing?
As a matter of fact, turns out that I build them so well that they'll last 20 or 30 years, thousands of jumps. And so I get them back for inspection, and I put new suspension lines on the canopies, and I get a chance to see, one of my children again.
Wow, that's amazing. So like what do they run? What does a parachute run in the world of
About,
cost?
yeah, it's about $3,000 or so for it's a signature series model, it's I actually sign it, and that's kind of a big deal for some people. But
Wow.
distinctive wing that you can only get through me, which kind of keeps me in business. I don't advertise. I don't need to advertise. They just come to
Yeah,
me.
just word of mouth. Wow.
Yep, yeah. But it's, it's as I travel along my life path, I can see that is sort of receding into the distance a little bit as I'm continually going back into the question of how can I be of greater value to my society? How can I use this, to help people to, you know, really look at fear in their lives and how it's closing their minds in so many ways, how people get addicted to fear, right? And watching fear-provoking TVs and TV shows and movies and all that stuff, and we're creating a pattern of addiction to the dopamine, to all that experience of the house lights coming up, but it's in a negative way. And then they get addicted to newscasters and programs that are really intense and really scary. They get addicted to angry politicians, they never smile and they just complaining about everything and never offering a vision of where the new earth is coming from.
Are you running for president anytime soon?
It's been asked.
That would be
You mentioned that's who I was on the phone with last night, is somebody that has been campaign manager more than once, actually, for a third party. We'll see. I
Yeah, we could. Have you been in any documentaries? This would be great. I do video production, to tell your story about fear, and this is could see it on like 60 Minutes or something. Yeah.
I look forward to more of that stuff. I mean, I do every interview that is offered. I will talk about any topic as it relates to the human mind's expansion from fear into love, and not just, people use the word love and they just go straight into the gutter ball of one-on-one relationships. And that's just a tiny little drop in the bucket, isn't it? Love of friends that you have, love of your neighbor, and in the cooperation that leads to, right? That's actual civilization. Being able to share vegetables from your gardens, oh, your tomatoes did better than mine, but my potatoes kicked butt this year. That's the kind of love that I'd like to see expand in this world, where we don't need to ship stuff from the other side of the world because we're growing it right here in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I will say people in the communities when I was flying are such great people to know, that kind of bond that you have. And, a lot of that, it's almost like conquering fear together in a lot of ways. The philosophy of my flight instructor and, other people I met up there who have hangars with like multiple airplanes, just so great to talk to them about their experiences. All of them probably have some type of thing, like you were saying, where, um, not all of them have crashed in that way, but maybe it's a near death experience or something. But you often find that there is a series of mistakes that if you don't panic, you can turn it around, and having that right mindset is kind of a key thing. But there's a lot of other things, just doing new things. Maybe it's going to flying a helicopter or doing a glider, all kind of builds and do other things. A lot of those people climb mountains and, do other things like you're saying, the wing
Yep.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, adventure, right? The spirit of adventure. To me, that's what the human mind naturally gravitates towards if we're not burdened by adulting. If we're not burdened by these roles that we play that put us in a tiny little box. But if you look into the mind of a child, that's who we are. It's a yes. Everything is like, oh, that sounds like fun. And so my motto now is, it's either hell yes or no with my life. I really want to be all in with everything that I do. Even when I'm building a parachute, I sit down and I decide to enjoy it instead of
Yeah. Even working on your taxes, decide to get in there.
Yep.
Even though it's like,
It's the
but
path ahead. It's not forever, but right now you might as well make this fun. I say
yeah,
that to my kids all the time when they're doing homework. Let's just make it fun. Let's get some crayons. you know, let's be creative. And it's one of the things we need to look into with the school systems that are afraid to change is how do we infuse more creativity where the human mind has room to expand into its distinctive, unique creative powers, right? They're all different kids. They all have different skills and different fascinations. And we need to be nurturing that in every way because who's going to be here in 50 years? It's not going to be us. It's going to be them. Right. And we have to teach the life skills, the life balance skills about how to eat well and so that you feel good, how to exercise and do things that are inspiring to you.
yeah. So I can't wait to collaborate with you. I think we have so much synergy,
Yeah.
Brian. I'm doing something on February 6th if you're available at like 5 my time, 8 your time. Might be like getting late for you, but you're so welcome to come play with us. And it's about 10 times more excited being alive and playing with aliveness. And then my co-host, we're going to do some hypnotherapy. And so you're invited, David. And I'm giving my little 10-minute presentation tomorrow with my networking group. You're invited. And I'm just so excited. I feel jazzed up talking to you. I feel happy for the work you're doing and how you're serving. And if somebody's tuning in and they are like curious about contacting you, where should they go? Instagram or what's the
Well,
best?
I'm a little bit on Instagram. I'm a lot on Facebook,
Okay.
just under my name, Brian Germain. And of course, I've got some websites, but they need a little bit of work. Most of that stuff is either the old website, transcendingfear.com, which definitely needs an update, or adventurewisdom.com,
Right.
which is pretty much focused on the skydiving stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've been, sort of restructuring all that stuff little by little, and it's time to do some bigger ones, bigger updates.
Yeah, well, we can hook you up with some great website people and graphic people. And but one of your website wasn't exactly on yet. So be patient. If you're looking for Brian's websites, be patient and circle back. But
We can
definitely,
put his Facebook business page or
yeah,
maybe your
whatever it is
email
you're
too or
doing.
something. Yeah.
Put
Yeah,
it, put it,
I
put
ran
it,
out of room on the Facebook. I had to, well, they only let you have 5,000 friends.
and then people can like you,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah,
all they can do
follow.
is follow or like or whatever. Yeah, I'm in that boat. And then I opened up a second Facebook with my name, and sure enough, that filled up to 5,000. And so yeah, it's growing like wildfire, but I have a lot of work to do in terms of figuring out how to get the word out about what I'm trying to say. You know, to get people thrilled about being alive, to take a real look at that final moment that is ahead of you. You know, I've been
Yeah,
there. I've been,
yeah.
in that deathbed moment where you're either going to have a lot of regrets or a celebratory attitude, or you go, wow, that was awesome. And a lot of folks, I think, will, reach that point where they look back and go, I don't know how many hours I wasted scrolling through Facebook. I don't know how many hours I spent watching TV and movies that didn't fill me with joy and passion. They'll remember the times that they actually took a hike. They're going to remember the time they got into a canoe, or they decided to plant a garden, or do things with their family and loved ones and expand their friends group and strum guitars together and that kind of stuff. That's life. Everything else is just breathing, you know. So I've been there, I've been to the edge of death and back, and for a long enough period of time where I actually was, in a hospital bed thinking, I guess this is it. And then I was given my life back. And I hope that everybody can at least imagine that long enough to light a fire under your butt.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So if you're feeling inspired like I am, reach out to Brian and connect through the ways that he can. Like that's how I got a hold of Brian, is I Instagrammed him my cartoons of his artwork, and I'm like, look at this. And he went, oh my God. Like it took him a couple of weeks or a month to get back to me, but then he saw it and he got back. So, Brian, it's so great. I think of those were, peak experience to get to have time with you there back in 1989, 1990. What decade am I in? 1990, 1989. That was really a special, amazing experience. And yeah, thank you for coming on our ripple effect today. I hope this gives you some good energy for the rest of your day, everybody.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
so much love. And I just loved your video where you're playing the guitar, singing Southern Cross.
Yeah.
It was like, oh,
Just this year, I decided, I'm going to take the ball and run with this idea of show yourself fearlessly. Just, even if it's
yeah.
not that good. I'm like, I'm not a professional musician. I don't even know how to read music, but
It
here
was
goes,
awesome.
here
And
comes a little sunshine your way.
you can look Brian up for his YouTube channel, Brian Germain. So let's all do that.
Okay, there, hold on. Yeah,
Okay,
well, good. Well, we'll wrap it up there. I'm gonna get make some lunch here, but thanks for coming on, Brian, and
Mhm.
we'll put the links for you and keep in touch. Yeah. There's something else we can share that you
I,
do. And
I would be happy to continue to evolve the conversation.
let's evolve the conversation and let's create magic.
Yeah.
sounds good. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Ripple Effect, everyone. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Erica. We'll see everyone next week.
Thank you,
Bye.
David. Bye.